Frances Smiled, Part 2, by Tyrone G. Sawyer, copyright 2026. Frances grabbed her keys and turned to leave. "I want you out of the house today, Peter," she said quietly. "You and your family seem quite content, quite comfortable, making a fool out of me. Well, that ends now. As of this moment, you are nothing to me," she announced with precision. Since Teresa wanted a show, she decided, she would give her one. "No, Frances, no," said Stephen Farquharson. He loved Frances dearly. He was no fool. He understood and appreciated the beauty that she brought to his family, how she was a bulwark to his son. But Frances was halfway out the door with Jacqueline Calliope following right behind her. She did not pause. She did not look back. "Look at what you did," he growled at his daughter, Teresa. "I hope that you are happy." Inexplicably, there was not even a casual mention of the egregious thing that Peter had done, or of the fact that he had been dishonest with Frances about the very existence of his outside children. That lie fell hard that day. It could not bend the truth its way. Frances was not sure what freedom was supposed to feel like. It felt strangely hollow. So much of value to her had been lost, simply thrown away in the pursuit of selfish pleasure, thrown away in what turned out to be a futile search for excitement and new meaning. Peter returned home, chastened. "Frances, we need to talk," he said, attempting to muster his authority. "Okay," she responded reasonably. "Let's talk. I will listen if you have something to say." "It was a mistake," he said. "I know it looks bad." "How many years?" she asked, interrupting. This was no time for dancing around. "How many years have you been sleeping with Ethel?" The words tasted like paper in her mouth. She did not feel the need to sugarcoat what he had done. 11, he said. Peter started to say more. He felt that there was so much more to say, to convince her not to leave him, to do whatever it took to preserve his marriage. He had prepared his thoughts, the narrative he wanted to build, but the look on Frances's face caused his brave facade to crumble. He saw a broken woman in front of him, the woman who had loved only him, who had saved herself for him, who he loved more than life itself, and he himself had been the architect of her destruction. It finally dawned on him that love was not enough. Besides love, requiring equal billing was commitment, respect, and loyalty. "Okay," he conceded ruefully. "I will pack some things and go. I will not contest any step that you plan to take. Just remember that I always loved you. And Frances, I am sorry for what I did." He left in a pool of tears, as if he finally understood what had been destroyed. Frances watched him go. She made no attempt to stop him. Their marriage was not supposed to end, so said conventional wisdom. Frances and Peter were made for each other. Their ambitions and their dreams were perfectly aligned. At least, that was what Frances thought when she and Peter agreed to get married. There was supposed to be no off-ramp on the highway that they travelled. For better or for worse, they intoned in solemn ceremony. She meant every word. She realized something with frightening clarity. Peter had lost his moral compass, or worse, he simply pretended to have one. Otherwise, he would not have allowed her to live such a blatant, ghastly lie for the past 11 years. She felt her love for him wither and die. Frances pondered these things in her heart, but the thing that she prayed for most was grace, the grace to forgive Ethel Cambridge. Ethel had been her best friend since high school, the person who she trusted with her deepest secrets, who she clung to through thick and thin. The parts of the puzzle began to fall into place. Now, she understood why Ethel had shied away from her over the past 11 years. Frances thought she had done something to offend her. She blamed herself for some imagined infraction. So, she gave Ethel the space she needed until their friendship recovered. Then she found herself quibbling, giving Ethel the benefit of the doubt. At least, Frances told herself, she had the decency to keep her distance while engaging in the depths of her deceit and her treachery. What a joke it was. Frances laughed out loud, a deep belly laugh. But it was not funny. She laughed anyhow. She needed to because nothing less than a joke was needed to convey something so serious, something that required levity as its chosen vessel. Frances continued laughing until her sides ached. She remembered the advice that Ethel gave her so many years ago, when she was in crisis, when she was deciding whether to get back together with Peter. "Do not try to make him into a saint," Ethel had urged her. That was good advice back then, and it was equally good advice now. Frances decided that she would follow that advice. She filed for divorce from Peter. He did not contest. A few weeks later, he stopped by sheepishly to ask Frances if she would consider giving their marriage another try. She firmly refused. She finally understood. What had been staring her in the face for years? Peter was not as interested in changing or in rehabilitating himself as he was in attempting to reclaim the comfort that he once enjoyed. A relationship where she was a prop, albeit a beautiful, compliant, and a thoughtful one. Frances saw it, because she was watching. Ethel's advice from years earlier resonated. Do not try to make him into a saint. Indeed. The final dissolution of their marriage took place 9 months later. By then, it was a mere formality. There was nothing left to say. Frances did not seek to punish Peter for what he did. He would have to live with the consequences of his own choices. She kept cordial relations with him as co-parents of their children. She encouraged their son and their daughter to maintain a relationship with him and, if possible, to seek reconciliation with him. Frances decided to move on. She figured that it would be the best possible outcome for herself. She decided to take a break from Nassau and relocate to Williamsburg, Virginia, her old college town, to operate her non-profit help center for women in crisis. She was able to connect with old friends she had not seen in years. The response to her business was overwhelming. She found herself becoming more effective. She was able to help at-risk women navigate their hopes and fears, who deeply connected with her because they saw her pain mirrored in their own. Her investment portfolio continued to provide very good returns, which gave her greater flexibility to be able to assist her parents in Cat Island as they got older. Frances started to date, and she liked it, but she was in no hurry. It was almost comical, the nervousness that she felt, like a teenager before each date. Then that feeling of nervousness passed, as she embraced the more mature, more balanced, more experienced, and arguably the more beautiful woman that she had become. At 44 years of age, Frances felt that she was entering the peak of her power as a woman, sexually, intellectually, and spiritually. The thought of this made her smile at her possibilities for romance and new growth. She knew what she wanted in a relationship. It felt good to be desired and appreciated without any need to perform, to no longer instinctively feel the need to figure out what was needed from her in the situation that she found herself, and then contort herself into the form or shape necessary to fill that need. She let out a deep breath at the thought. Frances felt a great weight lifted from her shoulders. As she drove in her Audi SQ7 SUV on I-65 to pick up her daughter, Jacqueline Calliope, at Denby High School in Newport News, she opened the windows a little and let the fresh spring Virginia air blow through her hair. It felt exhilarating. Frances smiled with her whole face, a real smile. Finally, she was in a good place. End.